Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another qualifier for the StarsWar 11. Welcome, everyone, to the Asia Open Qualifier number 1. I'm, of course, your host, Light VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely players ahead of us here. Exclamation mark B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket, it's big, it's huge. A lot of amazing players are taking part from the land of China, from Southeast Asia, from around the Asia region. Oh boy, and we have our first series. Up first, we have Moko versus Kingslayer. Moko, there we go. I keep having a hard time saying his name. Ay. But here we go. We're diving into game number 1 and spawning in the
paused.
Bottom right hand corner as we do get a bit of a pause here. Looks like we might have a slight issue. Looks like we might end up remaking, or maybe there's a little bit of latency going on. Regardless, we will soon be diving into game number 1. And yeah, we're going to be featuring two players that we have featured plenty of times on the channel. Kingslayer, he is the rising star. I want to say he name changed like in 2021, but I remember casting Kingslayer in the qualifiers for DreamHack for the China region. And Kingslayer, he was popping off. He was looking very impressive. He was able to bring down players that otherwise I would assume were outside of his reach. Likewise, his Zerg opponent is also a well-known player as well, but we'll get into it as in the bottom right-hand corner. Oh, I should be adjusting this. There we go. In the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Ore, we have our Chinese Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Twisted Minds, and also the official observer of WTL. It is Moko. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. It is Kingslayer. It was a couple of years ago, I want to say it was 2021, where we casted Kingslayer's run, where he qualified through the open qualifiers into the closed qualifiers of the Asia region. I want to say he brought down players like Expect, brought down some big Terran players at the time in the region, and yeah, he was able to have a really surprising run and a really impressive run as well. So in my mind, he has been like an up-and-comer that's been improving over time over the past couple of years. He's been a little bit quiet as of late in the most recent months and recent year of StarCraft, but regardless, I do have high hopes here for Kingslayer. Meanwhile, Moku, aka Takanashi, aka Aku, aka Soy, he's a man of many names. He's got like 5 different IDs that he's gone through over the past 3 years of us casting him. It's been very confusing. it's every single time, shaking my head. Every year it goes for a name change. Gonna be going by Moku, I believe currently. Fingers crossed, that's what we mainly know him as. Takanashi previously is our Zerg player. Was very active as well, was a rising star in the past years, but over the past 2 years, Moku did become the official WTL caster. Sorry, not caster, observer. He's the observer for World Team League, and has been doing so for quite a couple of seasons now. So it's really cool to see that he's still involved somewhat in StarCraft. May not be committing as much time to competing and improving as a player, but is still a part of the scene nonetheless. So really cool to see that he did actually, join the forces of SCBoy and is working over at WTL. Not just WTL, but also Masters Coliseum, for example, Kung Fu Cup as well. Moku is always there to make sure we all see what is going on, as we do have our first Reaper getting across the map, going to be threatening those Lings. The dance has begun. The Reaper versus Lings. One Ling goes down already. Good pickup. Very nice pick up there by Kingslayer. Also, famously, it was last year where we casted Moku versus Honmono in the previous map pool on Ancient Cistern. That is a game that I will never forget. Honmono versus Moku on Ancient Cistern. That was a smooch game. That was, if you know, you know. It was like a 50-minute game where Honmono, he had taken so much critical damage early on. I think he went down to 16 SCVs or down to like 15 or 14 SCVs, and Moku had 3 base saturation, and Honmono refused to die. He built up towards 2 bases, 3 bases, played mech, turtled up, eventually got a 4th, eventually got a 5th, and Honmono clawed his way back into it despite having sub 20 SCVs and despite being so far behind, and won the game. Honmono, he won the game against Moku, and yeah, that was a soul-crushing game, and I'll never forget. Aye. But you know, that was 2023. You know, that was a year ago, where we're brushing that off, getting into a new year, getting into a new qualifier, and we'll see if Moku can bounce back here. Again, we'll see if his time observing StarCraft has been improving his play as well. For the time being, though, behind this, we're going for a third CC before Starport into a 1-1-1 setup. Everything looking as it should. We don't go for an add-on swap. We don't go for Banshees. Overlord is going to confirm the fact that there is no add-on swap. So no need for Spores, at least, to deal with Banshee play. We do get eyes on Stim. So we are fully aware that it's going to be Bio coming out from Kingslayer. And Kingslayer did historically play Bio. He might have played Mech once against Terran in TBT, but even then I think I recall him mainly being a Bio-centric player. Very much so. As we're going to be responding with a Roach Warren. Interesting choice here from Moku. He's going to be going for the Roach Warren, which can work wonders on a smaller map like Golden Aura. I just realized we haven't cast on Golden Aura in quite some time, but this is a very small map, has a short rush distance by ground. Overlords are being hunted down by the Viking. Good pickups here by Kingslayer, getting one already. At the same time, Lings, they try to get us around. And it looks like they barely will. They barely will not. As the Hellions, they barely get away. We have reinforcing Hellions as well. One Hellion gets picked up when we annihilate the Lings. Brutal loss there. Meanwhile, looking at the Unisource tab, that was 3 Overlords going down to the 1 Viking. He's crazy. He's going for another. Going for another Overlord. But at the same time, what I was getting at is that the rush distance by ground is very short on this map. Very short. And how do we make use of a short map? All in. Roaches, Lings, Ravagers are amassing as we speak. We're going for a Roach, Ravager, Ling all in here. We're flooding across the map. It's all or nothing. We're cutting workers here at 40. And our goal here is not just to break the third, but to break into the natural. And there are no Banshees to defend. There is a tank on the way, but it's still on the way. It's still in production here. It needs a little bit more time to really get going. As it looks like the tank is barely going to come out in time, but Lings are coming from behind. They're going to try and catch these Hellions. Yeah, they come in for the surround. Hellions, they try to pivot the hell away. Good positioning here with the Hellions. Boys are being pulled. The Hellions, they avoid the surround. Very nice control there by Kingslayer. Very good movement. Does manage to slip away. The Hellions, they survive. The tank does siege. We do save most of those SCVs. Yeah, boys are being pulled to repair. We top up that depot. But Moku, he's still committed here. Behind that wall, it should fall. And barely it will. But the question becomes, can we break the natural itself? We have a tank, we have a Liberator, we have plenty of Marines, we still have those Hellions to defend against the Lings. Speaking of, Lings are still in the back line. We're trying to bust in. And we pull the trigger. While they take down the Liberator, we're diving here on top of the tanks. Boys are being pulled. The tanks, they still stand strong. But the Wiles may just be too much. One tank falls. And so will the other. Yeah, we clean up all the tanks. We clean up the Liberators. Bunker may finish, but there's not much to actually fill in that bunker. 21 SCVs fell. And it looks like we just have too much. Moku looking to snowball out of control here. He's already dealt critical damage. And he's droning, by the way. He's droning up back at home. Takes down another bunker. We do have a reinforcing tank, but at this point, all that we have to do is just to whatever damage we can, gain as much value as possible. We've already done the damage we were looking for, but picking up a couple of extra SCVs wherever we can. Gas Geyser. All of this is just a cherry on top, as we will not deny the upgrades. 1-1 does finish. 1-1 does complete. From here, Moku is going to back off. And back at home, what do we have? We have 55 workers. We're happily droning, saturating our third base, working towards a lair, which just finished, which means we can go into Roach Speed. We can throw down some anti-air if we need to. Nah, we'll just commit here to Lingbane, Roach Ravager. No need to really mix things up and really get too complicated. And yeah, Moku, he's looking good. He dealt critical damage, and I am getting deja vu. I just regaled you with a story about how Homeowner, he went down to less than 20 SCVs, and he was able to draw things out into a 50-minute game, and he beat Moku. That did happen last year. Wait, I still can't remember if it was last year or the year before. Like, the years, they're blending together at this point. That did happen on Ancient Cistern. But Ancient Cistern, if you remember, in the last map pool is a much larger map. It's a larger map, longer rush distance. You know, you could argue that it's a little bit harder to be aggressive on a map like Golden Aura. I mean, if Moku plays this out well enough, I don't see Kingslayer expanding. I don't see how he's able to freely take a third and a fourth base. Like, honestly, Moku, he can just remax and knock down those bases over and over again. At least he should be able to. But we'll see as Kingslayer is pushing. He's moving out with his main army. He's distracting the forces of Moku with this double drop. Gonna be consolidating his forces, bringing everything together. Rocks are being knocked down. The tanks are spotted. Vile's not quite going to be connecting. Yeah, as we're slowly sieging forward here, the rocks have still not gone down. They've still not been cleaned up. But at the same time, there it is. A big link counterattack. This is what I was worried about. Again, there's no way for Kingslayer to freely expand as the counterattacks run by, as they just do not end. We got 5 more SCVs. We deny the third. Kingslayer, he has to back off, rotate over. Catches a couple of lings. Does at least catch some lings here. As they do just ignore the army, they go straight for the mineral line. They get 1, they get 2 SCVs. You get 2 more workers. Kingslayer going to be turtling up back at home. I mean, he's got a high tank count. He's slowly saturating his third base. Meanwhile, Mercury's on a 4th and now working on a 5th. Hive is done. Vipers are on the way. It's going to be a secure way to deal with these entrenched tank lines. Whether it's with blinding clouds or abductions, Vipers, they can have their way with those tanks. Kingslayer does catch a queen. And I feel like, again, Kingslayer, he wants Moku to just run into this death pool of an army, run into the siege line. But the problem is that Moku, again, he wasn't resting on his laurels, he was taking up. We have Vipers, we have soon-to-be Ultras as well. Moku taking in every direction. I have 1-1 melee upgrades. Ultras, Adrenal, Viper Tech. What I will say is that the drone count is a little bit low. That is true. We're down to 69 workers. Nice. I mean, it's okay. it's not nice. Unfortunately. Nice is in a different portion of the bracket, actually. But he is in the qualifier. Wish Nice the best of luck. As again, we're just going to be droning back at home. We get up to 75 workers. It's around 4 base saturation. Still building up. Ultra's now on the way. And we see Moku has maxed out. Kingslayer, he has, for the most part, recovered. I'll be honest. Kingslayer can take a fight. Like, if the stars align, if the Vipers get sniped ahead of time, or if they fumble their abductions or their blinding clouds, Kingslayer, I mean, he's not that far behind in army supply. He's pretty comparable, actually. But here come the Vipers. Yeah, blinding clouds are thrown down. They cover 4 of those tanks, and we are pushing on in. The choke point is brutal. The blinding clouds are running out, by the way. They do run out, but we are breaking through nonetheless. We get 3 tanks. 3 tanks go down at the same time. A big counterattack. The backstab is real. Yeah, Lings are falling. We're getting drone kills, but the Ultras, they have arrived just in time. If it wasn't for these Ultras, we could have broken this base. Lings would not have done anything to this army, but the Ultras do. Despite that, 4 SCVs go down, 10 drones go down. So Kingslayer trading a little bit better here. Working towards 3-3, a little bit lopsided, but on the way nonetheless. 4th base is being taken after Kingslayer won that fight and traded more efficiently. He lost a couple of tanks, but we're done with the tanks. We're getting into Live Mine. Kingslayer is making a game out of this. I would still give Moku the edge. I'll still say that Moku, he has still quite an advantage here, but it's not as large as it once was. Or can we get the Vipers? Oh, he wants them. Oh, won't quite. Marines are going to be shut down. Are going to be cleaned up. Kingslayer preparing his drop. Likewise, fortifying himself here with tanks, with Liberators. Doing what Terran can do best, and that is just hunker down. Turtle it up. And again, just like the previous fight, he's hoping for Mogu to overextend and push into this. And take a bad fight. Now, it doesn't feel good, but what I would say in this position for Moku, I mean, he is maxed out, so rolling Lingbane in isn't the worst idea to kill some SCVs. But he should be taking up further. What I mean by that is, like, yeah, he has Hive Tech, true, but we need to focus on our upgrades. We need a Spire, Greater Spire. Like, when you're up against this army, Greater Spire Infestor. Like, Brutal and Infestor is what the ideal that we want. So we should be headed in that direction, at least for upgrades and, you know, for air attack upgrades, fire attack even, Greater Spire, just to have the tech available. Just because this can turn into a longer game. And Moku, he hasn't touched that tech at all. Mind Shot's going to be going off. Good power bombs here on the Medivacs. Good splits though. Decent splits, never mind. A lot of damage dealt to those Medivacs. A couple of them do go down. Kingslayer panicking a little bit there towards the end. But you can see him just maxing out. He's doing it. Like Kingslayer, he is evening up the supplies here. Now, what Moku has is a bank. That is true. So Moku, he can take a fight, he can lose a fight, and he can remax. But as we mentioned before, because this map is so small, if you lose a fight too poor, or if you take too poor of a fight, then Kingslayer, you can counterattack, you kill a base. He can kill a base with that counterattack. Doesn't take long at all to get across the map, where a screen away, or 2 screens away. Nidusworm is on the way, Burrow. I'm still a little bit anxious that we haven't thrown down the Spire. I'm not saying that this army is bad, just saying that it's not the most efficient of armies. And as the game goes on, I mean, Kingslayer, he gets a 5th. This is huge. He's gotten a 5th base, but he is spread thin. You know, we've got a couple of tanks and libs here towards the south. We've got a couple towards the north. We do snipe an Ultra. Ultra goes down. Mind Shot's going to be going off as well. Looks like we do find the libs. Decent Bailey connections there, but the Ultras, we are running out of steam, and we're going to be losing every single Ultra. Oof. And yeah, Kingslayer, he cleans up the army. That was not a cheap army from Moku. Looking at the trades here, he lost 5 Ultras, 20 Bailings, a bunch of Roach Ravager. What did he kill? 3 Libs, which was good. Killed 3 Liberators and 4 Ghosts. That's like the big notable kills there. Picked up at least some Ghosts, so Kingslayer's going to have to back off and remax. Moku, what are we remaxing on? Lingbane Hydra. Okay, I mean, it's not a... again, it's not a bad composition. It's very mobile. That's the advantage here. A very mobile army. And I like the idea of rotating around and hitting the southern base. I love the idea of just trying to outmaneuver Kingslayer here. As the Libs and tanks, they're stationary units. The Libs are stuck here towards the north. Tanks here towards the south. They're not fighting together in unison, so we can pick them apart. Ooh, oh god, that's not how we pick them apart though. That's big Mind Shot goes off of the Lings. Oh, you can still see the splatter of Lings there as well. As we have taken the entire map. For the most part, there's still one base here yet to be claimed. In the center left, another big Mind Shot goes off. Pushing up the ramp, we do yoink in one of those tanks and the Lib. Yeah, tanks hitting yoinked in. Oh, that last tank was that last yoink was not ideal. Snipe's going to be going off. You can see Kingslayer maintaining his army here. He's able to snipe a couple of Hydras. Again, still no Greater Spire, still no Infestors. So we're just sticking with Lingbane Hydra. Do we, if we're going for this, do we have Lurker Den? We don't. We don't have a Lurker Den either. So no Lunkers. Snipes going up here on the Lings, the Banelings. Now, if you're wondering what Kingslayer is doing, I mean, as we mentioned before, he has to absorb an attack. He has to take a good fight, and then he can counterattack. Ooh, as he bleeds out a ghost. But basically, he's waiting for Moku to overextend, take a bad fight, and then we can push out and either take down top right or bottom left. That's when Kingslayer can counterattack. Ooh, as he's getting caught out. Oh, massive mine shot, though. Massive mine shot by the Banelings. They're rolling into the middle line. SCBs are going to go down. Big damage here. 20 SCBs fall. And finally, Moku is able to deal some economic damage to Kingslayer. After at least initially. Widowmines are burrowing. I'm a little bit concerned that they're a little bit too close together here. Banelings can shut them down. The Knight is on the way just so we can rotate between the two fringe bases. Basically, these two Knights are connected so we can just bounce back and forth. Kingslayer finally moving out, being a little bit more active. He has maxed out. Decent mine shots. Oh my god. Getting a queen. Another good connection on the Lings, but the Banelings are rolling forward. Ooh, friendly fire from the Widow Mines. Better connections towards the end there. Bit of a give and take with the Widow Mines. Killing Marines and killing Ling Bane. And again, that was a worthwhile trade for Moku. The difference between these two final fights here from the Zerg player is he's been killing SCVs. The first time he killed 20 workers, now he killed 15. Like, this is pretty substantial. He's killing workers, crippling the economy. We can see Kingslayer trying to expand. This is going to be a difficult base to take. The creep is already encroaching upon the base itself. There is an Infestor burrowed. We're going for the yoinks. Ooh, big mine shots here. They kill the SCVs. And the Ling Bane. Shut down those Liberators. Scan reveals the Infestor. Kingslayer knows. Or hopefully he does. Oh my god. As one Infestor goes down. There was a no fungal. A couple of ghosts to get picked off. A better fight for Kingslayer as he does force back the army. We're instantly remaxing on more Lings. Instantly remaxing. Planetary's getting up and running. This position is still not quite fortified, but we find the other Infestor. This position is still vulnerable. Very wide open. Moku knows that. He wants to push in. Wants to break one of these positions here. Is rotating around towards the north. There are Widow Mines lying in wait. Ooh. Some okay connections, nothing major. There we go. Kingslayer rotates, scans, sees the army. We're in for a long one, Papi. I'm ready for it. Let's go. Now, Moku, he's starting to run out of money here. He's going to be mining up. Actually, he's still got some fresh bases. Like, top right is still fresh. Like, bottom left, by the time Kingslayer takes down this base, like, it should be fully mined out. There we go. We're collapsing on the planetary. Planning cloud here on top of the tank. Banelings are rolling in. They try to connect it with the ghost. Good kiting here from Kingslayer. He keeps all of his ghosts alive. And the snipes are good. But the problem is that even though he retained his ghosts, what did he lose? Lost Liberators, tanks, Marauders, Widow Mines. Expensive losses there. Kingslayer just throwing down that mule hammer. So many mules. Oh my god. 18. That's 18 mules here from Kingslayer. Jesus. 20 mules. Working hard. Kingslayer going for his max army. Ooh, mine shot's gonna be going up, but we are out of position. We're going for the planetary, and the planetary should fall. Yeah, we get us around. Banelings crash in. We save a couple of SCVs, but 10 of them go down as well. And again, you can see how difficult it is for Kingslayer to defend both locations at once. They have very spread apart. Kingslayer unable to keep up with the mobility of Moku's army. But Kingslayer has a super maxed army. He's staying on a low SCV count. He's on 45 SCVs. And Kingslayer, he is maxed. But once again, he's ready to receive here towards the south, and Moku, he's over towards the north instead. Kingslayer not where he needs to be. Let's push on board. Ooh, Mind Shot takes down a Viper. Very good Mind Shot there from Kingslayer. Moku rotating around. And towards that fourth, or towards the northern base. It catches a couple of SCVs. It's 5 SCVs, denies the CC, baits out some of those Widowmines, and we can keep pushing. Where the tanks, where the Liberators, the siege units, they're not here. Yeah, they're not here, and Moku, we could try to collapse on this. We do pull back, though. Doesn't like what he sees. There it is! We spoke about a Greater Spire. The Greater Spire is now on the way. It's very late, and we are still lacking upgrades like, you know, Flyer Attack and Flyer Carapace. But we're getting there. Ooh, even Moku taking the base of Kingslayer. Bold move. Running into a minefield. Yeah, but he's going for the Planetary. Planetary was not repaired. Planetary is going to be going down. Not the best link being connections, and I think now we have to counterattack. Now is the time. Base has been spotted. Planetary falls. Moku, he's remaxing here with Ling Bane, and yeah, Kingslayer's pushing. He's pushing towards bottom left. We spoke about it. It's already mined out. There's 2 mineral patches left. Sorry, 1 mineral patch left. Claiming this base doesn't matter. Not anymore. At the same time, top right is being shut down. Oh, Moku, he sees all those ghosts. He's salivating. He wants them. He wants the ghosts. Oh, and he barely does miss them. Barely doesn't get the ghost in the end. Good snipes going up. The ghosts are they're exposed. They are exposed. Big fungal as well. We catch, what is that? 6 ghosts go down. Big pig off there. At the same time, Kingslayer did take down bottom left. He's going for the center base. We'll claim that as well. Gets 2 hatcheries. Moku is racing back home. We have to get the hell out of here. We have to pick up. Become the queens. Medivacs are low. Yeah, the army's overstim. Medivacs are being focused down. Oh, we do barely escape. Do barely make it out. Ooh. Oh my god, massive mine connections there. Ling Bane is trickling in, and here come the ghosts. No splits. We get 2 ghosts instantly. Every ghost counts. As Kingslayer, he's running out of steam, running out of money. He's got 2 patches left here in the center, 2 patches left here at the third. He needs top right, but we are mining from it. And Moku, he's still got a 5k bank. He can do this all day, Papi. He can do this all day. Moku does spot the rotation. We have to make a choice. Do we go for this center base? Or do we go for the ghosts? Yeah, we're going for the base. We're already here. Right next to it. So we roll into the planetary. Yeah, the planetary goes down. The orbital as well. And we can keep on pushing, and Moku has finally done it. It took a while. It took half an hour. Remember, this started with a 2-base all-in. This started with a Roach Ravager Ling all-in from Moku. That did cripple Kingslayer, but Kingslayer, he made a game out of this. He survived. He turned this into a 30-minute game, maxed out a couple of times. But the bank is a little bit too good here, and Moku can still just keep remaxing. That's a lot of, oh my god, how many Liberators? 13. That's a lot of libs, Papi. And Here we go. The Live Ghost Army pushing towards the top right. We should be able to take down this northern base. And that will deny mining from Moku. Remember, Moku, he lost his southern hatchery. He lost the gold. But Moku doesn't care about mining. Not anymore. It's too late for that. Mine shots, not ideal. Better mine shot towards the end. But we're crashing into the main base. We came to the production. Moku is going for the kill. And again, Kingslayer sniping these bases. It's a little bit too little too late. Just took too long to really get going. As Moku is going for the final mining bases. Gets the planetary. Kingslayer is racing back home. Refusing to give up. Not like this. God, as the freedom has arrived, and I mean, we are going to be able to liberate all these lings in the main. True. We will liberate the lings and the bailings. We should clean this up. At the same time, oh my god, how many mules is that? 11. No, the mule hammer was real, but they're running into the death. It's just lings from all around. From the left and the right, there's no safe place here. One mule survives. He gets out. The one mule. And Kingslayer, he has 0 mining. He has no more mining bases here. He does have an army to work with. But he's floating over his orbitals. Bit of a desperation move here out of Kingslayer. Moku taking the bases here of the Terran. Just mass expanding. Making sure he just strips away as much as he can. We'll bleed out an Infestor. Moku remaxing. Still remaxing here as, yeah, he comes across the final mining base. We could just go for the elimination, I'll be honest. We could just try to kill all the buildings. That is an option here for Moku. Yeah, Kingslayer has to turn back around. Buildings, they're gonna stop burning. And Kingslayer is coming back. I mean, he's got a large army, but... and he can take a fight. Scan barely does miss that Infestor. Lings, they're going ham. Oh, there's 2 more axes left. We're gonna go down to 1. And Kingslayer, he can't even repair. Like, he doesn't have the money for it. He's down to 4 minerals. Doesn't have the resources. The final SCV. No, get out of here. The SCVs, they're falling. Oh, it's a kill in the orbital. And it's going to come down to the final units here of Kingslayer. He's getting picked apart. The Yoinks! The Yoinks are, again, a little bit brutal. They're taking down what few units are left. What do we have to work with? We're down to 7 libs, 12 ghosts. Now, what we have right here is a classic, oh, we actually still have patches. We still have 2 patches in the main. Let's go! We have mining. I was gonna say that this is a classic state of Terran copium, right? Like, I didn't... we see this quite often. You know, this is Exhibit A of, of being with 2 mineral patches left. We can make it. We can make it work. There's a world out there. If Moku detonates all of his own bailings, if he runs his lings into the libs, and circles through the liberation zones a couple of times and loses everything, then maybe. Look, if you have a friend out there, if you know a Terran that's addicted to copium, then reach out, okay? They need help. They oh no. This is reminding me. I need to reach out to my Asher. Oh god. Not like this. Not like this. As hey, we take down the base. We do claim a base. You know, we're gaining ground. Moku waiting for his moment to collapse on this. Honestly, he could just push forward. His Hydra count, how many Hydras do we have? 17. We have enough Hydras to A-move in, I believe. Like, it can be scary pushing into all this freedom, right? Like, freedom, it's a terrifying thing. So it can be difficult just, like, A-moving into this. But I do feel like we have enough, especially depending on the angle of attack as well. Speaking of, we're rotating around. Oh, I say that. My apologies. Moku is running out of minerals. He's maxed. Like, he can still win a fight with his army, but Kingslayer has actually burned through the mineral bank of Moku, which is impressive. I mean, Moku's still mining, but okay. Is there a world, right? Because we can mule. Like, we have energy-based mining here for Kingslayer, so we can mule. If Moku is too careless with his lings, and if he is denied this northern base, can Kingslayer somehow pull this off? Am I huffing too much copium? Am I? I mean, because of these two bases mining, like, it's kind of a moot point. But if we can deny the mining here, then maybe. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not very bright. It's smudging a little bit. Let's see, here we go. We're coming in. We end up yoinking some of those liberators. There we go. 4 libs go down. Ooh, big mine shots. Massive connection there on the lings. But that was still worth it for Moku. That was still worth it. How many libs? He got 5 liberators for 33 lings and a viper. Still worth it for the Zerg. Again, you can see Moku burning through his gas. There it is, the broods! We spoke about this like 30 minutes ago, or 25 minutes ago. We spoke about how Moku needed to get ready for the broodlords, and he's finally getting there. He relents. He gives in. He's like, you know what? Fine. I'll make the goddamn broodlords. What are upgrades looking like? Okay, 3-3. Oh, a +3 air attack at least. My apologies. Don't have +3 air carapace. Only attack. But it's fine. It's good enough. We are going to be sniping some of those overseers. We're down to 4. Oh, oh good. Down to 4 overseers. We have more broodlords on the way. I am still a little bit uneasy about this. Again, it should still be in the bag here for Moku. But I have seen Zerg players die from this position, as we're even long distance mining from the bases of Kingslayer. We're taking his money. We're taking it. Moku, you're an animal. Ooh, big mine shot there on the Vipers. Both Vipers go down. Again, you can see that Kingslayer, he has been trading more efficiently. Wait, I want to have a look here. He has been trading more efficiently here throughout the game, but it's all about the mining. And now the broodlords, they have been revealed. They're bullying back the army of Kingslayer. The orbital goes down. And this is it. The death march has finally started. The broodlords have arrived. We mined through the bases here of Kingslayer. We've mined through. And yeah, there is no way out. He is cornered, forced to fight, forced to engage. Snipes one, gets 2 broodlords. That's all he's gonna get. We have anti-air. GG gets called, and Moku does it. He takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. As Moku does take game number 1 after a very long, grueling game as well. Remember, this all started with a 2-base all-in. It was a 2-base all-in at a Moku. He crippled the economy. He knocked Kingslayer down to 20 SCVs, and Moku, he had like the entire map to himself. So a big shout to Kingslayer because hold on. No. Oh, shoo. Okay, I was almost left behind. Thank God. Almost left behind there. Look, at this point, I'm invested. I have to see how the story ends. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, Moku had a massive lead early on, went for his Ling Roach Ravager all in. He crippled Kingslayer. But a big shout to Kingslayer because, hey, despite being so far behind, he clawed his way back in. He was able to max out, able to get up to 5 bases, struggled to get a 6th base. That was the turning point, his endeavors in attempting to expand and take a 6th, and was unable to. But for the most part, Moku, he was able to take advantage of his advantage, right? He swallowed up the entire map, took every single base. I was a little bit critical of Moku. I do think that he could have teched up faster into a more efficient army. We saw how many links he was bleeding out, and we could have seen a faster Greater Spire and faster transition into Broodlords, which would have secured things a lot faster as well. We got there in the end, eventually. Did get there. And now we're getting into game numero dos. The series will continue, and our players did switch sides, so give me a moment to set up our player names. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardland, we have our Red Zerg player representing Twisted Minds, and also, of course, the official observer of World Team League. It is Moku. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Blue Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. That's really making a game out of that last game, refusing to give up, is down in this series, but more than willing to bounce back. It is Kingslayer. Oh boy. Alright, I need a moment. I need to look away from the screen. I'll catch up in the chat. I'll catch up. That Mulehammer. That was an insane Mulehammer. Oh, right. Sorry. During the game, I didn't give you a proper shout-out, but a big shout-out to Paramount. Big shout-out to Paramount _ for the Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Hope you have been enjoying your time here. Hope you've been enjoying the content, enjoying the casting, and even enjoying that game. I know it was a bit of a long one, but, you know, we enjoyed ourselves. It was all in good fun. So thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your emotes. If you wish, you can join our Discord server and you will gain access to replay packs. We do provide replay packs to our subscribers on a pretty regular basis of events that we have permission to share replay packs of. So plenty of replays available if you're interested in that sort of thing. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you for the support. Do appreciate it. You've got the medical grade copium tank on when you're breathing deep. Yeah. That was a big tank, pop. It was a big tank. Aye. Here we go. Whew. As we are going to be settling into our game, it is going to be a Racked Expand setup here from Kingslayer. Pretty standard opener so far. We do see Moku going for his own Hatch Gas Pool. Is going to be denied his 3rd base. Is going to be delayed here. Force him within that Gas Geyser. And the Reaper is going to attempt to get a kill on that drone. And can we get on top of it? At the same time, we have 6 Lings. 6 Lings were produced. Drone heading over towards the linear 3rd base location instead. And, ooh. We do barely cancel in time. We save the drone. Reaper tries to go for the tumor, but alas won't be able to. Moku will hold. And this 3rd base has been delayed. That is true, but at least we get it up and running. And so far, we have kept that drone alive. As it will be able to waddle away. Does make it back home. Does make it. Meanwhile, a shout out to us, Senor Sando, papi. Thank you, Sando. Thank you for the gift, for the bits. Do appreciate it. Again, all the money that we make here goes towards our tournaments. We do host Sparkly and Tuna Cup, a weekly open tournament every single week, and we also host amateur events as well, like Duckling Open and Master Swan Open as well. So, yeah, all the money we make here goes towards our prize pool. Thank you. Do appreciate it. As behind this, we're getting into our 3rd CC. It was a 3rd CC before Starport into Banshees. As a reminder, in Game 1, it was a 3cc opener into faster stim. This time, Kingslayer is opening up safely with Banshees instead. So much more safer standard opener from Kingslayer. Overlord goes in. Overlord does confirm everything here in that main base, as we do get eyes on the Cloak. We do get eyes on the Banshee. Moku is aware. We see We know. So with this scouts, we're going to be able to prepare back at home with spores. We should be able to throw down some spores back at home alongside plenty of queen production, getting ready for the Hellion harass. And because we're aware of the third base timing, we can be a little bit greedier as well. We can be greedier as Hellions are forced back. What I mean by that is that we can opt to delay the lair. We can delay the lair, we can delay the Baneling Nest, and we can go for double Evo Chamber into upgrades, and then into our lair and into that Baneling production. We'll see if Moku does opt to cut some corners. Or he chooses not to. Is going lair first. Okay. So a safe response here out of Moku. Lair first means we get to go into a bit of a faster Overseer Scout alongside faster Baneling speed. Baneling Nest should be thrown down at around the halfway mark, lined up with the completion of the lair. Meanwhile, let's go. I did miss this, and I said earlier that I think we've seen Kingslayer play mech against Terran, and now he's whipping out the mech against Zerg. That is 2 more factories on the way. And lock yourselves in, everyone. We have to enjoy the Cyclone while we can, because the Cyclone is going to be changed in the upcoming patch. And we spoke about it during the podcast a couple of days ago. We spoke about how the change was listed to change TVT, and it will change TVT, but it will also change Battle Mech. It will change the way that the new Cyclone does, how effective it is against Zerg. We have seen Mass Cyclone work wonders. Bjorn has been going Mass Cyclone recently. He recently beat Solar in East 11 Cup Asia, took a game with Mass Cyclone. Mara's been whipping it out. Clem, Hero Marine, Big Gabe. And here even a Kingslayer getting ready to make it happen. Ooh, that's a kill! That's a kill, not a cancel! Hatchery does go down. Big pick off. Hellions, they do barely work their way through those lings. They do manage to squeeze on by. It's a massive pick off there from Kingslayer. Again, a kill, not a cancel. Wait, am I crazy? Yeah, there it is. Kill, not a cancel. 300 minerals down the drain. Moku is stuck on 3 bases, and there it is. We have Hurricane Thrusters and Blue Flame on the way for the Terran. And we have yet to really confirm what's going on. Big link counterattack. Where are the Hellions? The Hellions, they were across the map. They're still racing back home, and SCVs are going down. Hellions out of position. We get 9 SCV kills. Good counter damage dealt here by Moku. Very necessary damage because of the killed hatchery. We did need to pull that off. Meanwhile, Cyclones are amassing. And they have been revealed. Here comes that Overseer Scout that we spoke about when it comes to the faster lair. We do confirm the production, the setup. And behind this, we know to get into +1 range. We already had the Roach for it. So we're getting into Roach Ravager Ling Bane. Or Roach Ravager Ling. The ideal against Battle Mech. There were players that were playing around with Ling Hydra Viper last patch, last season. But with the new Cyclone Ling Hydra Viper, it's too fragile. It's just too fragile here against new Cyclone. It just crumbles before it. Roaches are a necessity. And Kingslayer is moving out. A little bit premature. Hurricane Thrusters is still a couple of seconds off. But so far we are getting away with it. Tumors are being shut down. A lot of tumors actually. 4th base has gotten back up and running. Queens are pushing forward to transfuse at the same time. A big link counterattack once again. We get across the map. SCVs are going down. A good run by here by Moku. At the same time, the Queens, they hold the line. They transfuse the Roaches. Lings, they turn back around. They catch some of the Cyclones. And all in all, a good defense here and a good offense from Moku. Does bleed out a couple of drones. Ooh, as a Liberator is going ham. Oh my god. Getting 5 workers across the map. Do get 5 drones. At the same time, we're going to be waddling on forward here. A little bit of an overextension. A big overextension by Moku. He brings the Queens. Oh my god. He wants to go for the kill. He wants to go for the throw. The Queens have arrived. But again, I feel like we were a little bit too excited. And every Queen is going to be going down. This was not the play. This was not the push, Papi. Oof. A pretty big loss there by Moku. Again, just misjudging the situation. And do we have any queens left? We have 1. We have 1 queen remaining. Our production is going to be impacted here. We're not going to have injects. At least our next wave of injects is going to be heavily delayed. We don't have any more queens on the way. as the game progresses, Moku, he's in a bit of trouble, actually. Like, he's on less drones than there are SCVs. Like, Kingslayer has a better economy. He's working towards a 4th as we speak. Moku still has to saturate his own 4th. Yeah, there we go. He's droning. Moku, he's droning up as best he can. We still only have the 1 queen. And yeah, you can see those injects are running out. That 1 queen is racing in between the bases to inject. That 1 queen putting the work in. Let's go. It's rallied to every single hatchery. Gets it injects. We gotta go. There we go. 3 more queens on the way. And Kingslayer's in this. He is in this. Very much so. The Mass Cyclone. Ooh, getting caught out a little bit. And we do bleed out 2-3 Cyclones. Almost getting a 4th. As we do get the Liberator. But this is so dangerous. Like, again, as you can see here, pushing off a creep with roaches, like, you get punished so hard. As we bleed out a wave of roaches. Like, if you push off creep, you have to commit, or you have to be confident in your play. And interesting, we're going to be going for a different route here. We're going for some swarm hosts. Okay. Alright, Moku. You have my attention. Swarm hosts are on the way. Cyclones are amassing. Swarm hosts have yet to be revealed. Scan doesn't get eyes on them. And these swarm hosts have potential to really pop off. Now, I don't like swarm hosts fighting against cyclones. I do think that cyclones can, because they're so mobile, they can catch swarm hosts quite easily. As I say that, okay, there we go. Locust Wave is going to be going off. We do dive on top of the cyclones, and we will be cleaned up. We get a handful of cyclones. Again, not the best Locust Wave. Now, what's concerning is that the first Locust Wave is typically the strongest, as you're able to have a bit of a surprise factor in your favor. But now we are aware. And now, that's dead supply. That's a bunch of supply that can't do anything right now. We're going for a counterattack. That's what's scary about Swarm Hosts, is that you do leave yourself vulnerable after a Locust Wave. And that's exactly when Kingslayer pushes. Yeah, he's diving on top of the Roach Ravager. He's going to clean up every single one. The Roach Ravager does crumble there. And again, that's the danger of going Swarm Host. We do have another Locust Wave. We are ready. But drones are going down so quickly. Locust Wave has been revealed, and Cyclones, they can just kite away. They can avoid it. And we get 17 drone kills. Ay, ay, ay. Locust Wave runs out. We can dive on top of the Roaches. Now, Moku, he is maxing out on Roach Ravager, but once again, like, the soup does lie, and a lot of that supply is in Swarm Host. They're on cooldown. They're not helping. The base falls. We are getting caught out. Bit of a miss rally there from Kingslayer. We get a tank, get a couple of Cyclones. Tanks are exposed. Tanks are exposed. Big pickoffs here by Moku. Gets another 3 or 4 tanks. He's going to get them all. Vials, they do connect, but we're also bleeding out a lot of Ravagers. An expensive trade here by Moku. 1 tank survives. It wasn't the worst trade. We still have Swarm Hosts. The problem is the drone count. Again, we have 64 workers. That is 3 base saturation, to be honest. Like, that's not a lot of drones. We can't sustain these losses. Moku, he's running out of steam. Kingslayer is getting a 5th base and a 6th base on location. Kingslayer's running away with this. We need to do some counter damage. We need to kill a base. Locust Wave is coming in. We do get on top of these Cyclones. For a moment. Yeah, the Locust Wave melts. We're getting on top of those Swarm Hosts. This is why I'm not too fond of Swarm Hosts, specifically against Battle Mech. It's good against traditional mech, but here against Cyclones, we chase them down. And the Swarm Hosts, they're so vulnerable. So many of them get picked off. At the same time, ooh, a bit of a cheeky Roach run by. Getting a lot done. Yo, give this man 3 Roaches and we kill 12 SCVs, 13 SCVs. Very good counterattack, very necessary counterattack there by Moku. Denies the 6th for a little bit longer. Does delay the 6th base. Behind this, we can see Moku still not droning, still prioritizing roaches and swarm hosts. This is not a fight to take. Not a fight for Moku. Yeah, there's just not enough roaches here. We're breaking through the line. We're getting on top of the Ravagers. Once again, a very expensive loss there for Moku. He gets caught out. He does get caught out. The wave of Cyclones does continue. We're making 10 Cyclones at a time, by the way. Ay, ay, ay. The Cyclones, papi. Let's go. Meanwhile, Locust Wave gets across the map. Getting a couple of SCVs. Very important damage here. Forces back the army. And Moku, he does buy himself a little bit of breathing room by forcing Kingslayer back, but oh, only a moment of reprieve because Kingslayer this time is pushing once again with tanks this time. Very brutal attack here. As the tanks are slowly pushing forward. Roaches, Ravagers, they pile down one of the tanks, but so many go down in the process. Yeah, you can see here Moku struggling to hold on, going for another Locust Wave across the map. He runs into reinforcements. The Locust Wave does knock it onto the base. Or barely does, actually. But a quick reaction out of Kingslayer. He picks up, he breaks into the natural, getting into the mineral line. We're camping the production. The tank covering the retreat here. Yeah, just really efficient trades from Kingslayer. Like, a meching player with a better economy and with a more efficient army, of course, is a terrifying thing. It's the economy here that's really just pushing him forward. GG gets called, and Kingslayer ties up the series 1-1. We're going to the ace match. Let's go. GG. We are going to game number 3. Whew. And with that, I mean, it's going to come down to our final game here. Where exactly are we headed? How will this story end? Kingslayer succeeding quite a bit here with his mech. Again, he did a great job at hiding it for a while, and I was not in love with the choice of going Swarm Host there. We saw that it never really paid for itself. We were able to pick off a couple of Cyclones, a couple of SCVs from time to time, but no major damage from the Swarm Host. As we mentioned, the weakness of Swarm Host against Battle Mech is because Battle Mech is so mobile. You can hunt down those Swarm Hosts, you can hunt down the Nidus Worms, and you can punish that period where your Locust Wave is on cooldown, right? You can punish the Swarm Host quite hard, or the Zerg player quite hard in that moment. And we saw that Kingslayer was able to do that quite often as well. And not just that, to be fair, like winding it back a little bit, it also did come down to the fact that we had Moku. It also did come down to the fact that we had Moku overextend early on. Remember, he was able to clean up a Hellion harassing force, and then he pulled the Queens. If you remember, the Queens, they waddled across the map, and we just misread the situation. We misread the state of the game, and in that moment, we saw Moku lose every single Queen. And basically, as soon as that happened, Kingslayer took momentum. He took control of the game. He was able to get ahead economically. If you remember, that's when he took the worker lead. He was able to get ahead in bases. Able to, yeah, just really get into his game. And Moku did fall behind. GG. GG, well played. This is TVZ now on ladder every game. Is this the Maru Greedy build? This was not the Maru Greedy build. I do know what you're referring to. That build was actually showcased by Björn before IEM. If you've been watching the channel, you would have seen the ESL Open Cups. Björn did it against Rainer on Alkione. In the ESL Open Cups. That was back in January or December, I think. But yeah, again, like it is a build that, or I should say specifically, Battle Mech has been permeating through the pro scene. Björn has been whipping it out, Tamaru has been whipping it out, Clem, Hero Marine, a lot of the Terrans. They don't just play it, they just sprinkle it in. They sprinkle it into like a best of 5. They still heavily rely on bio. But Battle Mech does have a place here, at least for now. As I mentioned before, with the upcoming change to the Cyclone, that's gonna be a big nerf to Battle Mech, to be honest. Specifically, if you were reading the patch notes, they're changing the cooldown period on the Cyclone from 0 seconds to 2.8, like basically 3 seconds, which is massive because that is going to impact how well and how easily Cyclones can kite and relock on and just like punish like Zerg armies and chase them down. That 3-second lock-on period is a pretty big change, and I do believe that it is gonna impact this matchup specifically quite a bit as a result. But we'll see. We'll see once it gets implemented. We'll see how much of an impact it is. As we're getting into game number 3, the ace match, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our Chinese Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Twisted Minds, and of course the people over at SCBoy and WTL, the Observer himself. It is Moku. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Mystery Gaming. Ooh, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. It is Kingslayer. They buffed the health of the Cyclone. They did buff the health of the Cyclone. But again, I do think that lock-on supersedes or is a bigger nerf than the health change is a buff to the Cyclone. Like specifically, just because it does affect its utility and its micro ability. That's the big change there, is that a player with good micro, as we've seen with especially Byun and Maru, if you've been watching them play mech, like they never let the lock-on like ever really run out, right? It's like they're always on you. If it ever does break, like they're just on you immediately after as well. Like the DPS that Cyclones do in the hands of like these top tier Terrans is crazy. But giving that cooldown, that does mean now there's counterplay. Now Zerg players can intentionally break the lock-on, can micro against it, and then once the lock-on is broken, the Terran players punish for that as well. As there's like, again, that second period, that 3-second period where you just can't, where you lack the DPS. So I do like the change in general, but yeah, it may impact Battle Mech quite heavily to the point where we don't see it as much anymore. Which, I mean, it's up to you if you believe that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? I think for a very long time, Battle Mech was very niche, and I don't know if we want it to stay niche, right? Like, I feel like it comes down to what we want from the game and what we want from competitive play, right? Like, I feel like there's a sect of players or a sect of people, and I don't know where I am, but I feel like there's people that's like, you know, mech should just be viable, right? Like we should give Terran the option to play mech and to play bio. And for a very long time, like mech wasn't viable, and arguably right now it's still like done every now and then. But like, do we want to get rid of it? Do we want it to, you know, be an option? Do we want it to be more popular? Do we want it to be better than bio? Like, like these are the questions that like the balance team and the balance council, like they have to ask themselves and figure out like what kind of direction they want to take the game in. Yeah, it's something to think about when it comes to the viability of mech and like, again, how good you want it to be or how bad you want it to be, right? I think right now it's jarring because for so long mech was bad, right? Like for so long mech just is something that like Gumiho does, or you see it in TVT. You never see it against Protoss, obviously. Like even with the new Cyclone, mech is still not viable against Protoss. But like because we're used to seeing it in that state, like we probably feel like that's the norm and that's how it should be. So it's kind of hard to like break that mold if that's where, you know, people want to take it. Yeah, I know, just something interesting to think about. Like it's less about balance and more about like game design, I guess, of what we want. As we are going to be settling into game number 3, the ace match. Okay, standard openers. I went on a little bit of a tangent there because standard openers, it's going to be, it's going to be a 3rd CC before Starport into Banshee. This is the same build as game 2. This is the same build as game number 2 here for Kingslayer. Getting into his 3CC into Banshee play. Now this can, as we saw, this can lead into mech. This can lead into additional factories, or it can lead into bio. It can lead into additional Raxes. So we'll see what direction Kingslayer wants to take it in, as we are going for a lair first. Okay, lair first here from our Zerg. Was around a 4-minute 40-ish lair timing. Interesting. Is going to be a lair first. I'm keeping my eye out here for the drone counts. For the time being, we are still droning, so it looks like we're not going for a Ling Queen Nidus all in. This should just be a lair into a Bailey nest, but Moku has been very fond of roaches. Even in game 1, when it was against Bio, we still saw a Roach Warren out of our Zerg player. So we'll see what kind of tech we do throw down. There it is. Bailey nest has been chosen. It is going to be the mech. There we go. Double factory going to be on the way. The Ling! No shot. The Ling gets in. Big scout Moku. He gets eyes very early on, and he sees both factories in production. Roach Warren has been thrown down. He cancels the Bailey nest. And unlike the previous game, Moku is now fully aware of what's going on. Remember, last game, Moku, he missed the scout. He was denied it, and he didn't know what was happening until the mid-game. This time, he's a lot more aware. He's a lot more aware, going for the Roach Warren immediately. Banshees, they do rock up across the map. Queens are going to be rotating over. They are going to be rotating over here. Keeping up with said Banshees. Behind this, third base is getting saturated, and for the time being, Moku is going to be able to maintain himself. There are Hellions to threaten him, but honestly, not too many. Looking at the units tab, 3 Hellions out of the map. We have 7 back at home ready for a counterattack. I do like this adaptation from Kingslayer. If you remember, last game when Kingslayer was a little bit too aggressive, he was being punished time and time again by Ling run-bys. We saw Moku go for constant Ling run-bys. So this time it feels like Kingslayer, he's a little bit paranoid about that, and he's keeping Hellions in that mineral line, at least for now. So a much more defensive position. Behind this, they're making 8 Cyclones at a time. That's a lot of the Cyclowns. They're back, Poppy. They're back. Let's go. 4 CC is on the way, so we're not going for a 3-base all-in. We're building up towards a longer game. And again, this time, the Zerg player is fully aware of what's happening. And we are having much better preparation here. Now, we do have the Infestation Pit. I would like to see Infestors instead of Swarm Hosts this time. Again, the Infestor was changed in the new patch as well to have a Fungal once it pops out, and Fungals can be massive here on Cyclones. For the time being, we're going for a big counterattack once again as Kingslayer pushes in. Lings, they do push out. As they get into the mineral line, SCVs are going down. The move out was punished. And I was praising Kingslayer for being ready for a Ling run-by, but not with his move outs. 17 SCVs go down the entire mineral line. Ay, ay, ay. We've lost a lot of workers here. Roaches, they are going to be pushing in. Tanks are sieging. And Moku, he just has to back off. Like, the damage has been done. He's going to bleed out a couple of Roaches. We just have to calm things down. Back off. We've crippled the economy already. And Moku, okay, he's droning. Phew, I was going to be like, are we going to max out? The Queens have arrived again. Oh, I'm getting a bit of deja vu. As we're going for a bit of a pause. Thankfully, we're pausing not in the middle of a fight. Thankfully, we're not disrupting any kind of big engagements. So it looks like we have some hockey issues here that we should be resolving and getting back into this. But again, I do appreciate that unlike game number 2, this time Moku, like, he's preparing the creep, he's knocking down the rocks, he's droning behind this, working on 1-1. He's not going fully all in like we saw previously and at risk of failing the all in as well.
Game resumed.
There we go. The creep is being set up. Moku getting ready for his maxed out push at the third base. Now, how many tanks do we have? We have 2 tanks so far, making 2 at a time, soon to be 4. This position is pretty well fortified is what I will say. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to break. But again, only 2 tanks. We can come in from multiple angles. That creep is spreading. Oh, we do catch the Queens! Not like this. The Queens that left exposed are all going to go down. The Tumors, they will stand strong, but hopefully that wasn't every single Queen this time. I'm hoping. Okay, we kept 3 Queens back at home. At least we're not down to 1 this time. But once again, the Queens, they do get cleaned up. Creep is being denied. We can see Moku trying to retain those Tumors, but he won't be able to. As once again, we are going into Swarm Host. Now, What I will say is that I do like Stormhost in a better position here just because Moku's in control of the game. Well, he's in better control of the game this time. But it still makes me uneasy because Kingslayer, he only made a handful of tanks. He's not going for a tank-heavy style. He's still making 5 Cyclones. It's still a very mobile army, so you're gonna have to convince me. I'm ready. I'm ready. Moku, he's cooking, Papi. He's cooking. Let him cook. Nidus is finishing up. Ooh, Planetary looking exposed. We can target this. We can target that Planetary. And that first Locust Wave can get a kill. At the same time, though, we're pushing right through the center. So far, we're unfazed. Again, we're trying to slow this down. We have to buy time for this Locust Wave to reset. As we dive on the Planetary, we're going to try to focus it down, and it looks like we... Oh, can we get it? It's going to be close. It's going to be close, and we will get the Planetary. Massive Locust Wave there from Moku. Already dealing damage. And again, he has to buy time for that Locust Wave to reset. In that period, Queen's going to be going down. We're threatening the hatchery. Base will fall. Drones were evacuated. They are saved. And the Swarm hosts are getting ready. Now, I do appreciate that Kingslayer, he actually left his Hellbats. He left his Hellbats to protect those tanks from the Locust Wave. Speaking of, here it comes. We're going for the surround. Locust Wave from one end, Roach Ravager from the other. We collapse on the tanks. Cyclones are falling. Not a bad trade there from Moku. How many tanks did he get? He got 22 Cyclones. Oh, Jesus. It hasn't been updated. Got the Cyclones. Got some Hellbats. Oh, actually didn't get a tank. But again, we're buying time. We're waiting for another Locust Wave. And again, Kingslayer is stuck on 3 bases. Still has not replaced that 4th. And even though Kingslayer killed a hatchery, it's not the same. We retain our drone counts. Not the highest drone count. We're still on 3 base saturation. Like, Moku is still playing very all-in. He has a super maxed army, essentially. Oh, and that's a lot of tanks. That is a lot of tanks. Here we go. Locust Wave is pushing out. Yeah, Biles are going to be connecting. We're breaking through the tank line. And even if the Cyclones survive, we take down every single tank. There it is. 7 tanks fall. And Kingslayer, he just can't rebuild. He doesn't have the economy. He doesn't have the production to sustain these kind of losses here. Trying to remax with his Cyclones. And Moku's so much more in control here. Again, a faster scout. Much more decisive play with his Swarm hosts. Much more conservative approach with his Queens. Again, Moku, he learned from the last game. He adapted from game 2. And we're going for the Planetary again. We're going for the CC. Now, it can lift. It can lift. It can be saved. So the Locust Wave might not deal enough damage. We're going to have to cancel the base, though. Depending on what we go for. We're going for the SCVs. Yeah, we cancel the Planetary. We do lift. But 13 SCVs go down. Ooh, a couple of Storm hosts are going to be thrown away. Don't think that was intentional. We do catch some Storm hosts. Getting good movement with those Cyclones. Nidus Swarm finally goes down. And can Kingslayer recover from here? Can he recover? As he is trying to establish the space. Ooh, a little bit greedy. That is not a Planetary. I mean, it's a bit of a give and take. Because it's an orbital, we can always lift it. We can always lift up. But as I say that, the Locust Wave, they go for the 3rd instead. I'm not getting as much damage done. They get a couple of depots. They get 4 SCVs. 4 SCVs, Nidus Swarm is shut down. Oh, the tanks are exposed! No, as the Cyclones, as they catch the Nidus, the tanks, they do go down. Biles connecting with the CC. With a couple of workers. As Kingslayer, he's still struggling to hold on here. Focus save continuing. Headed for the mineral line. And once again, we catch some workers. Oh, that's going to be 11 dead workers here. The Deepers, the Gas Guys, the Swarmers, to get the hell out of there. We're pulling Kingslayer apart. He just can't keep up. Liberator gets wild. The tanks are shut down once again, resetting that tank count, getting the final Liberator with those vials. And even if Moku loses this army, it's already paid for itself. He will bleed out a lot of it. Ooh. That's a lot of Ravagers getting shut down. But again, we can remax. Behind this, we have droned up a little bit. We've droned up to 72. Full base saturation. Have plenty of bases up and running. Again, Kingslayer, he just hasn't had the opportunity to counterattack. He's been stuck defending at home the entire time. Finally, he's going to be pushing. He's had enough. He's had it up to here. Is moving out. But again, this army is nowhere near as threatening as it once was. Like, there are no tanks. There's only one Liberator. It's only Cyclone. On creep as well. And we shut down quite a lot of them. Cyclone's going to be falling. Locust Wave in towards that fourth. A bit of an overextension there by Moku, but he gets another tank. Won't be able to quite get into the mineral line, but the Locust Wave, it denies the fourth. Takes down some gas geysers. And Kingslayer, he just can't build up. He just doesn't have the economy to build up. He needs something to go his way. If he's able to sneak out a run-by, like a Hellion run-by or a Cyclone counterattack, I mean, hey, this Liberator, it's denying some mining. It's denying some mining here towards the south. Towards the north, this base is pretty secure with all those spines. As the Locust Wave is going to be wasted this time against the Cyclones. Okay. The Locust Wave. No, the base! Meanwhile, the third is left completely exposed, and this time we're killing every single worker here. At least we should be. Oh, never mind. Okay. Never mind. They do manage to escape. Did back up. Looks like Moku was just a little bit paranoid about where the army was, and then he catches some Cyclones. Yeah, trades quite well here. Shutting down even more Cyclones, just never allowing them to build up. And we still leave some Roaches back, and they will get even more SCVs. The damage is still being done. Boys are being pulled. We're just rallying everything across the map at this point. As we are dealing critical damage. But you know what? Kingslayer, he's been in a similar position. You know, he's... Remember game one? Mate, we're only 18 minutes in. Wow, we're getting ready to strap into another 20 minutes. Let's go. We can do it. Kingslayer. He's refilling his tank. He's getting the Copium ready as, oh, we're just getting knocked down time and time again. Getting on top of the Cyclones. Still have a third base up and running. True. Don't quite have that fourth. Oh no! As we do bleed out a Swarm Host. Kingslayer, once again, this northern base. I mean, it's just a supply thing. He just doesn't have the numbers to defend both locations at once. He's rotating over towards the north, which means the southern base is exposed. Which means the SCVs go down. We take a rough fight. Mules are getting shut down as well. On the biles! Can we get the orbital? That becomes the next question. Good trades out of Kingslayer. Good trades overall. From here, he's just trying to stabilize as well, getting back to tank production. How many tanks do we have? 4 tanks. Peels off a couple of cyclones. No, the tanks! Okay, we pull back. Thankfully, we're not sieged. We do pull back in time. Interesting. Locust Wave zoning back the reinforcements. And now we can fight the cyclones head on. We can try to. The problem with this run by is that we have a spine forest. The spine forest has already been established. It's been planted, and it's thriving. The non-stop run bys, the non-stop aggression here. Trying to pick up a cyclone towards the end. Oh, the base does catch fire. Thankfully, we do have enough minerals to repair. We should be able to keep it up. Now, when it comes to what Moku's up to, he is building up a bank. Just like game number 1, you know, I have to emphasize, you know, taking up and working towards things like a Greater Spire, like Broodlord Infestor, as it is a more efficient army. It is less mobile, though, so it does make sense to stay on Roach Ravager for now. But there's no reason not to, you know, start investing into everything else. Just to make sure we have it available. The Lings especially would be good. But there it is. GG gets called as we run out of steam. And Moku, he does it. He bounces back and he will take the series 2-1. GG. Whew. Let's go. That was an hour-and-a-half long best of 3. GG, well played. Congratulations to Moku as he does advance on into the next round. And we are here to follow him. We are here to follow him in his road. We haven't even had a look at the bracket yet today. It's just been such an intense series. But I need to very quickly slip into some DMs because we have a qualifying match. We have a qualifying match. Let me just quickly get ready for that. And let's quickly catch up on the bracket because we already have qualified players. That's how long our series was. Oh my god. Everyone else has been blazing their way through. Okay, so we have Rex qualifying over Jeshi. Oh, Bappy. Rex, the Tyrannosaurus himself. Let's go. The king has done it. And Rex, the Taiwanese Zerg player, he qualifies over Jeshi 2-0. Making it into the closed qualifier of the StarsWar 11 Asia region. Meanwhile, we also have Cyan. Ooh, Cyan, he took down nice 2-1. Big win there. Big win there for Cyan, taking Nice down. I mean, there is going to be a second qualifier, and Nice is a player that I expect to make it far and to make it to the main event. So, again, it was up in the air who would advance on. Cyan does take it. I don't know who Cyan's opponent is. Unfortunately, I'm unfamiliar with the Chinese characters, so if anyone can let us know, then we would appreciate it. I'll check Wikipedia. I'll see if Wikipedia is updated. That is Silky. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious. Okay, so Silky versus Cyan in a qualifying match. Very high profile. That could go either way. I do rate Cyan a little bit higher than Silky, but they're both pretty comparable in skill. Meanwhile, we have SCV taking down Nanami. Nanami Takayami, I think, full name. So big win there for SCV. Again, SCV is a Chinese Protoss player, if I remember correctly. And SCV has been doing very well for themselves as of late. Have been casting a lot of SCV during the DreamHack regionals. And SCV has been popping off and is now going up against Coffee. Coffee took down Maxed 2-0. Oh my god. Coffee's back. It's great to see him back here. He's popping off. And I would say that Coffee's favored to qualify. Best of luck to SCV, but Coffee is going to be one of the favored players here to make it all the way. So best of luck to SCV there. Meanwhile, we have Firefly taking down Smile 2-0. And up next, Firefly versus Moku. Let's go. Let us set that up. Firefly, of course, representing his new team, Offside. Offside did pick Firefly up. Not just Firefly, but also Rex. As well as Control. They are all supporting Firefly. You do love to see it. Offside is supporting all those players. Do love to see it. Just setting things up. Okay, and vetoes are underway. Now, when it comes to Moku, again, very impressive that he took down Kingslayer, just because I mentioned before, and if you weren't here for it, maybe you're unfamiliar, but Moku, he is an observer. He does work for SCBoy, he does work on WTL, Kung Fu Cup, he works on Masters Coliseum, and Moku is our traditional observer that we have for those events, as he does observe for the clean feed, or for everyone, really. So, yeah, for a couple of seasons now, Moku has been working hard as an observer, so I wasn't too sure what his skill level was at, play-wise, but very impressive that he took down Kingslayer, so I want to believe that he can make a showing here, but Firefly is a favorite player. You know, Firefly, he recently was a part of IEM Katowice, he qualified for the main event. It was not an easy qualifier for Firefly, so it was really cool to see him as a part of that event, and personally, I've become a fan. I've become a fan of Firefly. Ever since he was on the Starving Camels on Team SSLT, Firefly, he was always the dark horse, the underdog, but he was always popping off, specifically in World Team League. And it's great to see him, over the past couple of months, replicate that success in the individual leagues, right? In the 1v1 format. Outside of just these Team League formats, like he's been popping off in the 1v1, and Firefly has been really thriving. And which is why I really appreciate that he joined Offside, and I want to see how far he can go this year. Like, Firefly, I don't think we've seen his final form. I feel like he still has room to grow and improve, and he has been improving. He has been growing. That light is shining brighter and brighter, so I want to see some more Firefly. Gibbs, Bobby Gibbs. Let's go. So I'm a little bit torn. I'm a fan of both these players. I like them both. You know, I appreciate my observer. I appreciate my Moku, but I also appreciate Firefly as a fan, as a player. As I'm just gonna catch up on the chat. I'm catching up, while videos are underway. Leaders are underway. My boy Firefly taking that single qualifying spot. Yeah, let me just double check, because these are the open qualifiers for the closed qualifier, and yeah, in the closed qualifier, only first place makes it into the main event. Thinking about like a greater prediction for the entire closed qualifier, considering all the players, Firefly, he has a really good chance. He has a really good chance to take the entire thing. There are some big names standing in his way. I would say, like, who's like his biggest threats? I would say Coffee. Coffee's a big Terran who hasn't qualified yet, but like I expect him to be a challenger. I expect Silky. Silky's really unpredictable. He was teammates with Firefly. They're good friends, and Silky is a very aggressive Zerg player, and I can see him cheesing out anyone. I can see him cheesing anyone out, so he's gonna be a bit of a danger. Jeshi. Someone mentioned it earlier that it was surprising to see Jeshi not qualify. I agree. That's why I was pleasantly surprised when we saw that Rex made it through, right? Like, really big win for Rex. Especially because Rex has been casting. Rex, similar to Moku, has been focusing less on playing and more on streaming and casting in his own native language, over on his own channel. Fun fact, Rex is casting this series as well on his own Twitch channel right now. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Rex, but I wasn't really expecting him to bring Jeshi down. So that was a big win for Rex. I expect Jeshi to, I expect him to qualify through the second qualifier. Tomorrow there is a second open qualifier. I feel like Jeshi is expected to make it through, but we'll see. But again, he's going to be another contender. Who else? Cyan, of course. Cyan, Maxed. I mean, there's a lot of big Protoss players in China. And Cyan, Maxed, Jeshi, Firefly. They can all go back and forth, especially in PvPs. But I think I do agree that that I want to rate Firefly above them all slightly. But I would not say that it's like a, you know, it's like a sure thing. Which is always good, right? Like you want some competition, you want them to work for it. So we shall see. Rex has evolved into a T-Rex. Eat up, Jeshi. He ate him, Bobby. He ate him. Hello, Mio. Mio, Micah. Hold up. Exclamation mark. Funada, the last king of the sea here. Mio. Where are you? Me, Mike, if those who don't know, he's the best player in all of Southeast Asia. He's from the land of Vietnam. He's an amazing Zerg player, and he signed up, but he did not check in today. If me and Micah was a part of this tournament, he would also be a threat to these players. Where is he? Where is my Mio? Mio, Micah. Shaking my head, shaking my head. You better be here tomorrow. Tomorrow is the second qualifier, so me and Micah, you better be here for it. Bring Gogo Joey as well. Bring them all. Bring all the boys. Ender, where's Ender? Shaking my head. But when it comes to this series, vetoes are done, by the way, if you're curious. Vetoes, I believe, are done, but we are waiting. It looks like the mainstream wants to cast this as well. When I say the mainstream, the Chinese stream over on Douyu, SCBoy and his crew, I believe they are casting Silky versus Cyan at the moment, and they're in the ace match. I believe they're in the ace match, and they also want to cast this. So we're going to be waiting for Silky and Cyan to finish. Unfortunately, we're not a part of that ace match, but we're waiting for Silky and Cyan to finish, and when they finish, then we're jumping into Firefly versus Moku. So we will have to wait a little bit longer here. We do have a little bit of downtime, which is not the worst thing, especially after an hour and a half long series. I'm okay, like calming down a little bit and you know, just catching my breath, So it's a lot of StarCraft. It's okay. Oh right, predictions. I'll also set the predictions up for our qualifying match. So we will get those predictions going. Un momento. I won't start the predictions until we are ready to like start the game, but I'll set it up nonetheless. Firefly, then Firefly and Moku. Beautiful. Okay. So I guess we're going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on to a short break here. Again, less than ideal, but we're waiting for Cyan versus Silky to wrap up, and then we'll be jumping into this series. So take this moment to hydrate our hydras, stretch roaches, massage your marines, get some water, get some snacks, look away from the monitor from time to time, you know, take care of yourselves, and in a couple of minutes, we'll be back with our qualifying match. Don't go anywhere, or, you know, come back. come back. What if I would? And we'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for the extended break and the extended delays, but we were just waiting for Cyan versus Silky to wrap up. It has now concluded, and we have one qualifying match remaining here in the StarsWar 11 Asia Open Qualifier number 1. We have a fresh best of 3 between a Zerg and a Protoss. Here we go. So again, we have been patiently waiting, and I promise it will be worth the wait as we're loading into game 1 on Hardlead. And if you're in the chat, if you happen to be in the chat, lurking or otherwise, then predictions will soon be open. They'll soon be open, so you can place your bets on who you believe will take the series and qualify for the closed qualifier. And as we load in, there it is. Predictions are live. Good luck. Good luck, Poppy. Good luck. Predictions open. There we go. So good luck with your Gamba as you do get it on. And here in the bottom right-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our blue Protoss player from the land of China, representing his new team Offside. It is Firefly. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Twisted Minds, of course, as well as SCBoy, WTL, and all observers out there going for a 15-15. It is Moku. Here we go, 15 hatch into a 15 spawning pool. Interesting opener so far, very safe opener out of our Zerg player. For those that are curious, the purpose of this opener is so you can expand on location without being disrupted, without being, interrupted here at that natural. It does mean, though, that you get a later gas. It is going to be a gas after the hatchery, after the spawning pool, so it is going to be quite delayed. Does mean that Ling speed is going to be later as well. It means that Firefly should be able to get his third base up and running without too much issue, but likewise, we do have our Zerg player looking quite comfortable as well. So a very safe opener out of Moku. Meanwhile, Firefly back at home getting ready for his own setup as well. Now, Firefly as a player, we have yet to cast him today, but he's quite a unique player as well. He can be quite aggressive, can be very flexible with his builds, and often does throw out curveballs as well. He can be a very unpredictable player, which is why he's a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to cast. He's always willing to whip out something crazy, something wild. Standard play is within his realm, or is within his wheelhouse, that is true, but we see less standard play and more kind of deception out of him, going into Glaive Adepts, going into Charge, going into this heavy Archon style. I expect Firefly to be the one to really spice things up, and it's going to be on Moku to respond. It's going to be on Moku to respond and to react, as it was a gate expand into the Cybercore standard opener here out of Firefly. Meanwhile, Moku just droning up back at home, working towards his eventual third. Eventually. See in chat, all in Moku. Oi, Mio, I told you before, you better be here tomorrow. You better be here tomorrow, Mio. Just saying, just saying. We need you in the qualifier, Papi. We need you in the qualifier. As for now, we're going to be droning, going to be saturating our bases. It is going to be a Stargate opener out of Firefly. Should be Stargate into Oracle. But again, we'll keep our eye on our Protoss to see if we do deviate and head into something crazy like a Void Ray, for example. Tis always possible here. As First Adept is going to be moving out for a bit of a scout. We do see Moku, of course, getting into some safety Lings. Just massing a couple of Lings here in the main base. I say massing a couple. That's more than we're used to here. Just hiding these 6 Lings in the main base. Ling speed is on the way. We are droning behind this, but I'm curious if we're going to make any more workers. 3 drones on the way. Okay, there we go. We are making an extra wave of drones. Just being safe. Clutch Evo Chamber Wall thrown down as well. Do love to see it. And so far we have minimized our losses. 1 drone goes down. We got 1 worker so far, but we shut down the Adepts. They will be cleaned up. One of them will escape, but the other does fall. And with this, we have, minimized losses. We're establishing ourselves in these 2 bases. Third base is getting up and running. And it is going to be the Oracle first. The Oracle is moving up for Firefly. Ooh, and we are delaying the second Oracle, going for a very fast Robo into Twilight Council. This is what we spoke about. This is what we mentioned about how Firefly is willing to really spice things up and throw a curveball in more often than not. Standard play is not often seen from Firefly, and this looks like something like, I want to say Glaive Adepts. The Robo is going to be an interesting one. This could be a 2-base all-in. I'm feeling a straight up 2-base all-in. We throw down additional gateways. It's going to be 4 gates set up for the time being. 4 gateways, Twilight Council, Robo. Whether it's Blink, Charge, or Glaives, yet to be determined. We have all 4 gases here. Are we rushing into 2-base Blink? Ooh, there is a Templar Archives on the way. Okay, that does rule Blink out. Charge Lot Archon would make more sense from here. Okay. Meanwhile, it's going to be a lair first out of Moku. Going for a lair first. Again, so far, pretty standard response here. Just going to be droning up on 3 bases. Templar Archives is on the way. Charge is going to be a little bit delayed here for Firefly. Is holding off on it. Going for the Archon drop first. So, this is a very interesting build that we have seen every now and then. We've seen Classic do this. We've seen Nightmare do this. Basically, it's a delayed Archon drop. With High Templar, not with Dark Templar. Not with DTs. Third base is being taken. This is not an all-in. We're going to be moving out with an Archon drop. This will eventually lead into Charge and Immortal production, I imagine. Yeah, Forge is on the way. Oh, good movement here out of Mercury. Does get on top of that Prism. And there there's High Templar. Again, going for those Archons. Going for the drop play. Meanwhile, Moku ignores the main army. He's going straight for the third. He wants to force a cancel. Does want to force that cancel. Back at home, we've cut drone production. We're making roaches. Making more lings. Oh, Moku is supply blocked. His supply block for a moment. Does force a cancel. Yeah, cancel onto that third base. We're going to surround here. Adepts are going to be shut down as well. Yeah, good cleanup from Moku, but he's taking a lot of losses from that Oracle, but it's now out of energy. It is out of energy. Roaches are staying back at home. But again, we found the damage we were looking for. All we wanted was to cancel this base. Cancel the third. And with that, Firefly is stuck with 2 bases, going for a pretty big gateway explosion. That is going to be 8 gates in total. There's Charge that we spoke about. There's that Archon production as well. Sorry, the Immortal production. So again, Charge or Archon Immortal. We're building up a death ball of an army. Firefly should only be harassing with those Archons, but because of the cancelled third, the Archons have to stay at home. They're stuck at home instead of harassing. Sumoku, he's free to drone. He's freely droning up, saturating his bases. Hydra Den is on the way. I like the idea of rushing into Lurkers against this kind of army. It's risky, don't get me wrong. It's risky because we are pushing out with quite a terrifying force. We'll see how we make use of this Hydra Den. Again, as we mentioned, we're going to be building up towards, I want to say, at least 3 Immortals. Bunch of Archons, Charge Lots. We're going to have Sentries for Force Fields. It's going to be a terrifying attack when it does move out, and we need to prepare for that. We need to be ready. The Hydras, they will help when it comes to dealing with the Prism, at least. But I'm not entirely convinced by a Roach Hydra composition, whether it's sprinkling in Lurkers or sprinkling in Ravagers. Or even Banelings. That would be ideal. Now the Firefly is still just gathering energy on those sentries. Ooh, interesting. We're going for a Bay. That I was not anticipating. Okay, so the Bay tells us that we actually want to work towards Colossus. We're not pushing out with Mass Immortal Archon. We're going to be going for a later timing instead. Interesting. Yeah, there's a second Robo to get into double Robo Colossus or even Disruptor production, which means Firefly, he's actually staying back at home. He's staying back home, getting his 4th, being far more defensive instead. Now, what this means is that Moku is free to saturate his bases, but he's staying on a low drone count. He's staying on 66 drones for now, knocking down these rocks. And Moku may want to try to push into this. Firefly out of position. He does move out at the wrong moment here, distracted by those roaches. The Hydras, they do collapse here on top of the 4th. The Archon goes down. The Prism. Oh, Prism gets sniped as well. These roaches are doing a great job at distracting Firefly, and we canceled the center base. Big moves here out of Moku. Hydras, they were revealed. Disruptors are on the way. Moku moving out towards that third. Doesn't quite commit. Is going to pull back. The Immortals looking a bit exposed. Don't quite get on top of them. Now we do see a couple of Ravagers on the way. Again, Ravagers are going to be necessary against these force fields. Against the sentries. But it's only your single Ravager. As Firefly is trying desperately to get that 4th base. I mean, again, Moku's done a great job at denying bases over and over again. The third and the fourth. Never gets off. Ooh, decent connection, but we get on top of the disruptor. It looks like it barely will survive. But we snipe a sentry. Overcharge is popped. And Moku, he's maxed out. He's maxed out. He hasn't droned. He's staying on 3 base economy. Better Nova. Once again, good force fields. There just aren't enough Ravagers. There we go. Morphing another 2. Prism got sniped earlier. We have not remade the War Prism. Firefly going to be stuck on these 3 bases. Desperately was trying to expand, trying to take another. Now, what's important here is that Firefly did bleed out an Archon, but he has been able to maintain his Immortals and his Disruptors. He hasn't lost them. And they're building up over time. And Firefly is pushing at the same time. His 4th base is going to be denied once again. The Archons. We catch an Archon. Good Nova. Did have a good over there from Firefly, but we deny the 4th base. We're starving him out. Or at least we're trying to. That's a lot of Zealots. It's a lot of charge lots. Yeah, we collapse on this. Oh, the Nova! Ooh, a bit of friendly fire. Killing some Zealots, but regardless, we will force this army back. At the same time, the 4th is denied once again. And I'll be honest, even though we've been denying the 4th base over and over again, that's true. I still favor Firefly's army. I still like his army more. If he can bring everything together. Yeah, catch some Hydras. Expensive losses there for Moku. Big Nova as well. Does connect. Oh. Moku is forced back. Lings, they cut the Zealots. Nova's connecting once again. Oh my god, we take down the Hydras, we take down the Lings, we clean everything up when it comes to the flank, and we're getting on top of the base. And Moku, he cannot defend, he cannot deal with this army. I spoke earlier about either getting into a more Ravager-heavy army, Banelings, or Lurkers. We needed something, we needed some kind of backbone, big connection on those Ravagers. And this army cannot be dealt with. We're snowballing out of control, we kill the center base. Firefly, he may not have been able to get a 4th base up and running, but it didn't even matter. Didn't even need the 4th. Novas, they just keep going off. Bleeding out a couple units towards the end here. Firefly forced to retreat, but he dealt the damage he was looking for. He killed the base. We do see the Zerg player stuck on 3 hatcheries. He's stuck on 3 bases. Meanwhile, Firefly finally gets his 4th. And that's what matters right now, is that even though the 4th is very late for Firefly, I mean, he has one, and Moku doesn't. Moku does not. It's Firefly just reinforcing with an extra wave of units. Before moving out once again, the Novas, they just keep popping off. Oh my god. Yeah, the Novas are just getting far too much value here. Trading so well. Finally, a couple of disruptors are going to be going down. But it's too little too late. At the same time, a big Zealot run by here on the right-hand side. We collapse here on Lings and Hydras. Good trade by Firefly. GG gets called as Moku gets pulled apart. And Firefly takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG. And that was not a bad game out of Moku. I did appreciate how active he was. He was denying the 3rd base, the 4th over and over again. Just really... he was being really active with his army and achieving a lot with it. But as we mentioned, the composition of the army was lacking. Like, he could never fight head-on. Again, he needed to either transition into those Lurkers or throw down a Baneling nest and have like Banelings to support. Invest a little bit harder into Ravagers to deal with the force fields to zone away the army. We needed something more there. Just pure Ling Roach Hydra. It's not ideal, as we saw against the kind of army that Firefly was working with. And with that, Firefly, he takes game number 1, breaks free from his chains, counterattacks and snowballs out of control. And now we're getting ready for game number 2. Número 2. And how will this go? I mean, again, Firefly is 1 game away from taking it all himself. 1 game away from taking it all, but alas. I want to believe in Moku. I want to believe, based on that last game, like, I feel like he has it in him here to fight back. I want an ace match. I want this to go the distance. We'll see if we can make that dream a reality. We shall see. As for now, it looks like we're just waiting for our players to get ready, to prepare themselves. Oh. Looks like we're just missing a player. Getting things ready. When it comes to game number 2, do we have our map? I know the vetoes were being done earlier. Oceanborn, there we go. Game number 2 is going to be on Oceanborn. Game 3 is going to be on Hecate if the game goes that long. If it goes that far. We're here for it. We are here for it. We are ready for it. And it looks like our players are finally ready as well. Players are ready. And you can hear the beeps. And when it comes to Moku's playstyle, again, it's either, like, overall, I liked how aggressive he was. It's either teching up or committing, right? Like, it's one or the other. Either we tech up into a higher form of tech, or we just commit and double down and just go all in. Right? So it's one or the other. We can't go down the middle here. There is no middle ground. Not in StarCraft. Not in StarCraft. As a letting in. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have... Oh, one moment. God. They changed colors. Un momento. Bam, there we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our red Protoss player representing Team Offside, one game away from qualifying for the closed qualifier. It is Firefly. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Blue Zerg player, also from the land of China, representing his team Twisted Minds, and also representing SCBoy, WTL, and all observers out there. It is Moku. Here we go. Oh. And already we do have the probe getting across the map. Gets here just in time, does deny the expansion. And Moku forced to take the unnatural natural. Gonna be here at the third base location. Where is the drone going? Pull first. Uh-oh. I was like, hold up, something's wrong. We're going for a pull first. The drone is moving out across the map, and we are going for a proxy hatch. Okay. Moku, you mess with the bull, you get the Moku. Let's go. As we're getting across the map, the proxy hatch has been thrown down just outside the natural, but I believe that's within range of the gateway. Oh, that's a little bit too close. It's within range of the gateway here. Less than ideal. Firefly is now fully aware of what's going on. Again, one hex to the left. One little hex. Maybe two hexes. And it would have been out of range. So, unfortunately, Firefly, he has extra time here to prepare. Throws down the Cyber Core. Throws down the Forge for cannons. And this is the ideal response. For those that are curious, if you're a Protoss player, if you're in this scenario, in this game state, you have very limited production. You have one gateway to work with. So we need the Forge for cannons. Like, side defense is your best friend because you are so limited with how many units you have to defend. So cannons, shield batteries are going to be on the way across the map. We at least have the spawning pool. No Roach Warren, no additional gases. Link speed is being researched. Moku has yet to expand. We're committing to this. Drones have arrived. We're going for a spine rush. We're here for the spine coolers. Cannons have already started. Again, because of the faster scouts, we have the faster response. Spines are going to be on the way. Ling's applying a bit of pressure here. We skipped the Zealot. Uh-oh. That's a little bit greedy, but we did skip the Zealot for Firefly. Spine crawlers are in production. There could have been a Zealot here as well. We're going for a Sentry. And we're going for a Stargate. Now, this Stargate should be for a Void Ray. Void Rays can work wonders in this position. As we have very limited anti-air. We went for a Spore first, actually. Okay. My apologies, I didn't notice that, but it is going to be a Spore first, followed by the Wall of Spines. Queen is out. The Queen is protected. Is locked in. There we go. Have to break it free. Spankles are pushing forward. I'll be honest, I don't think I'm fond of the Spore first. I think we could have gone for a Spore second. As you can see, it's a little bit early. It's not really adding too much value. So, interesting decision there by Moku. We're going to get the Forge. The Forge is going to be shut down. Ooh, Spine-Core a little bit too close. Yeah, it's a bit too close there. The Queen taking a lot of hits. Their Cannon's going to town on these Spines. Clutch Transfuse. But that Spine Crawler is going to go down. But we have 3 more rooting. Did I say 3? I meant to say 2. As the Shield Battery puts in a lot of work. The Cannons, they're holding the line. We pop the Overcharge. We kill another Spine Crawler. We're down to 1 Spine Crawler remaining. We're within range of the Spore. It's unburrowed. We go for it. And the Void Ray, it's going to shut this down. The Void Ray reigns supreme within range of the Shield Battery as well. Firefly gets the Queen. And what did he lose? He lost 1 Forge. He lost the Forge. That's it. Void Ray going ham. Going for the Overlord of all things. Oh, the Force Field! Clutch Force Field out of Firefly. Zones away those Banelings. The bust will not happen, but we still have more Banelings on the way. We're still fighting things across the map. GG gets called. The rush has ended. We have defended, and Firefly qualifies for the StarsWar 11 Asian Closed Qualifier. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Firefly as he does take the series 2-0, does qualify for the closed qualifier. Again, Firefly is arguably the favorite player to take the entire region and to qualify for the main event. He's poised to do so, but can he go the distance? So far, he's taken the first step, the first couple of steps, and he's made it to the closed qualifier. My condolences to Moku. Again, he didn't have a bad game 1. Game 1 was pretty good for Moku. Remember, Moku, he was denying the third. He actually killed the... I'm sorry, no, he canceled the third base. He canceled the 4th base as well. Like, he was doing a great job at maintaining control of the economy of his opponent. But again, his army was lackluster. The composition was lackluster. Like, the Roach Hydra... The Roachling Hydra just didn't really work out well against specifically the Immortal Archon Disruptor composition. And Moku did crumble before the might of Firefly's army. If you remember at the time, it was like, Firefly, sure, he could never take a 4th, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter, he had a Death Ball, and he was able to snowball out of control with that. Here in Game 2, it was an interesting all-in. It's interesting because it was not the initial plan, so I don't know how well rehearsed it is. If you remember, we were denied the natural, and then Moku went across the map. And as we saw, it left much to be desired, right? The hatchery was a little bit too close, so because it got scouted so soon, we had the Forge. We could throw down the Forge immediately. We got into cannons immediately. Even before the Spines finished, we already had a wall of cannons. Likewise, the Spore was a little bit too soon, and yeah, it was just it did just crumble before the might of Firefly. Really good defense, really good reaction out of Firefly. Some shaky execution out of Moku. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Firefly. And I wish him the best. I wish him the best to make a deep run in the closed qualifier. Meanwhile, if you're watching, and if you are a fan of some of these other players, then don't worry, because the players that didn't qualify have another chance tomorrow. So, quickly going over the bracket, !B, if you guys want to have a look at the Wikipedia page. But we have our qualified players. We have Firefly over Moku. We have Coffee 2-0ing SCV, the Protoss player. We have Cyan taking down Silky in a best of 3. Took him down 2-1. Big win there for Cyan. Went to the ace match, but Cyan does take it in the end. And a big shout out to Rex, the Taiwanese Zerg player. The T-Rex, if you will, the king himself. He also qualified for the closed qualifier. So, very big results coming in. Really proud of all of our players. And we should be seeing the players that didn't qualify here tomorrow. So, players like Silky, Jeshi, SCV, and Moku, alongside Kingslayer, alongside Maxed, Nice. Don't forget about Nice, the best player in all of Taiwan. He's also there as well, and many others. I say many others. I saw Miyamika in the chat. He wasn't a part of this qualifier, but he has a chance to compete tomorrow. So we're going to be seeing, I'm sure, some more Southeast Asian players, some more Chinese players, all duking it out tomorrow to make it into the closed qualifier. So if you want some more StarCraft action, and if you enjoyed this qualifier for StarsWar 11, be here tomorrow in just under 24 hours. In just under 24 hours, in around 22 hours time, we're going to be live tomorrow with the final open qualifier. And then we're going to be starting the closed qualifiers. Oh boy. The big names are going to be facing off soon thereafter. So make sure you're a part of it. Make sure you are a part of it. I see in the chat, patch when? Soon TM. For those that are curious, the patch is not finalized. So the patch is currently live in the PTR, and based on feedback, the patch can be adjusted. So don't get ahead of yourselves. Like the changes to the Cyclone may be adjusted, the changes to the Widowmine might be adjusted. Like in general, nothing is set in stone yet. It is live on the PTR, which is the public test realm. As I mentioned, it is public, so if you want to try out the patch yourself, and if you want to be a part of the feedback process and the trial and error process, the quality control, then you can download the PTR. There is the option in the Battle.net client, in the Battle.net app. You can open it up, and there's an option for the PTR. You can download it, you can play it, and in case there are bugs, or you can play around with things, you can, you know, try and make sure that everything is on point and everything is as it should be, or as intended. Maybe that's a better way to put it. So yeah, if you're curious, you can download the public test ROM yourself. There might be some PTR tournaments. I think there's also a mod in game that has the patch applied. So there might be some people to keep an eye out for Wardy, for example. I'm sure Wardy, maybe some others are willing to maybe run like a PTR tournament later on. They might do that just for like testing purposes. So keep an eye out for that. And likewise, we were able to showcase some of the new maps. A couple of days ago, we showcased some of them. We do run our own tournaments, so we're going to have a discussion, and we might decide to enforce the new maps. That would be a lot of fun if we did that. So we could try to do that ourselves. We'll see. We'll see. Exciting times for StarCraft with the upcoming patch and the upcoming maps. Very nice stuff. Very nice stuff. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for the support. We do appreciate it. As I mentioned, we're going to be back tomorrow with StarsWar 11 Open Qualifier number 2 for the Asia region. We're going to be back tomorrow with Qualifier number 2. Otherwise, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. ! Socials in the chat. Oh, predictions, right? I have to pay out the predictions as well. Have to pay them out. But yeah, you can follow us on all the social media. You can follow us on Discord. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, ! YouTube in the chat. We're also currently live on YouTube as well. So again, plenty of content out there. We do upload on YouTube on a daily basis. So plenty of VODs, plenty of StarCraft. It's all on YouTube. I'm just opening it up. It's all on YouTube and Twitch if you're interested. And we have a Patreon. You can see the goal of the Patreon just under Moku's name. But we do have a goal to fully fund our tournaments. We do host weekly tournaments, and the Patreon is set up to fund it and to grow our tournaments as well. So if you're interested, you can do so via Patreon. Otherwise, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. See you tomorrow.